now where he can control you forever, man. Putting that device in that tagging, but then going to him laying wait. Do that one more time. Drop it. Think about how you drive on the highway. Who's waiting on the side of the road? A police officer. Go ahead.
Yep. It's the book of Psalms 10 and verse 9. It says, he led them wait secretly as a lion in his den.
What does a lion do when he's about to pounce? He crouches, he gets low. A lion ain't gonna announce, hey, I'm about to get you, but ready, chase you. You don't do that. Because why? Because he'll scare you away. Think about a snake. A serpent is not gonna hawk you down like a bear would. The serpent gonna just hang out and chill. You know where he's gonna be at. You know what you like. You wait for you to come around, and then you'll get close enough to get bit. Think about go and search any animal documentary, how the snake fight. The rat could be stepping right over this dude. Because they'll bury themselves a little bit, And again, what happens is the animal gets complacent. I'm safe, What's going to say what peace is safe? They shall say peace is safe, and shall destruction comes upon. That's how people like that.
It says, he lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net.
Yep, he draweth him into his net. It was a design trap, right? It was strategically put to catch you. See? He always makes you think that way. Psalm 83rd chapter, they come together. They conspired against you, so-called eagles that they ran, man. You tribes on this side, man. Because why? Because they know ultimately you're superior to them. But they don't think that. They want to be equal. Here it is, Esau being lesser than you. People say the elder shall serve the younger. Esau was born first, right? And he thinks he's better than you. But that subconscious, that's he got pale skin. He want to get tan, He want to listen to Jake music, right? Because he want to be so bad. He even call himself. You wish people, man. He wishes he was a Jew, But what are people do? You can have it, You can rule over us, and no other people on earth would ever do that. Willingly give himself up to captivity, man.
You got Jake giving them a nigga pass,
right?
Or being welcome, trying to bring them into our fold, bring them into our culture, our you got Jake, man, you got to pass, keep it up. Which it might be, it actually might be an Israelite foreigner, through the spirit, but they giving passes and letting outside nations come in, because Israelites is friendly, and we welcome them. Except to our own kind, we want to screw face each other, which was systematically designed, by Esau, having us, it's at the bully lynch, get a bully lynch letter, make us enemies amongst each other. Esau, Edom is patient, like his brother said, he does things strategically, and he plans it out. Exactly, these things taking place now have been plans in the making for decades, if not centuries. These plans go back hundreds of years, or decades, like the MOTV, the RFID microseeder. It's a magazine that was made in the 90s, talking about people getting microseeder implants in the 90s. That's over 3 decades ago. So it's not like these things is coming overnight or on the fly. These things already been plans in the making, and they just been patiently working and letting it play out, setting the snares for the Lord's people. All right, now this is Sirach, Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 11. And the word that stick out here is crouching. And what animals crouch when they hunt? Lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars, and they patiently crouch and wait in the bush for when you're not paying attention and when you're not looking. So when they pounce on you, or cat. All right. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away.
A little bit of investigating. Look into this guy's background. you maybe somebody, you know, look up who they've been with, you know, these so-called past relationships they've been around, you know, they got going on, right? But once again, we was over it. Nobody's ever over this. Once we've done that, we was probably going to him being made bare. But you know, people complain about him, you know, doing certain stuff about how he cheats the tax code, you know, how he makes it unfair for certain minority groups to get ahead and stuff like that. You know, but it's so much of a bigger picture around what he's doing, man. You know? And that's why you got no problem with you gathering up in groups and protesting, because all you do is getting surveillance on you, man. You get tagged these databases, man. We've got companies like Palantir, you know? Kill switches. We're trying to do, you know, just like over there in China, man. Mass surveillance. Get this technology, man. We're exactly right. You know? So we're playing into his game. You know? That's how he operates. We're on video. And Galen got elected, you know, problem reaction solution. He artificially gives you a solution. You know, he'll start the fire and sell fire to you. That's how we operate, man. That's called marketing 101. He creates an artificial man.
Hey, remember during all those BLM protests, it was U-Haul trucks dropping off bricks and setting up, putting pallets of bricks on the corners. Just like recently, videos was coming out that it was Hispanics getting paid $200 a day to go out and protest and riot over in Los Angeles. So you gotta think, there's people out there peacefully protesting, but there's people out there paid to go out there and cause disruption and chaos.
It's going to what? A psyop. You got people actually reacting to what's happening. You know, you have a few agents, you know, set up, said that many people really into the job. You know, like going Indeed, right? You hire these people to cause chaos, and just, you know, they come on in. You know. And again, he said, "Oh, well, we got to do something about this, right?" You know, there's all this stuff going around, you know, in the world, geopolitically. You know, you don't have people bombing people to, you know, help. You got people again worried about people crossing borders. You know, not infighting, right? You know, it's also consequences of Egyptian. Chapter, right? A lot of this again is controlled. Because like I said earlier, they're not guessing. You know, they're not up there in power just guessing, having a guess game. Like you sit and play a card game. No, man. It's all strategic. Like I said, this is decades in the making.
Families, generations, passing this down to their grandkids, their kids, their grandkids. This is what we go do. This is the plan. When I die, you go fulfill this.
Yep. 2032. Going to get our people. Going to get never trust an enemy. Do some searching, some looking, especially in his future plans. You know, because like you said, Jake Lumpkin slap on the wrist. You know, he's cool. You know, but when they talk about Jake, a lot of times he was like, "What he says to do at my job, I can do it right now, man." You know, you look far away, it's enemy. But no, that's something. Walking up to you and shit, like, "Damn, what's up, man?" Yeah.
You know the spirit. You know the spirit bears witness.
So we're not simple, you know.
Verse 12, Ecclesiastes 12, verse 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith.
So again, going to him undermining, right? Again, you complain about certain things, and here it is, he got a law for it. You know, I want to marry my best friend, Joe. You know, so they had Obama passed it. You know? All right.
Yeah.
Once I this man operate, you know, it's ultimately take advantage of you. You know,
You just commanded to pretty much be cautious, man. Don't let him among you. Don't let him. Don't let that man sit at your right hand. Don't let that man in your house. Don't let that man know too much. Because he gonna want to overthrow you, and he gonna want to take your spot. He gonna want to take your place. He saw Edom kick your door in, hog tie you, and then say he you now.
right?
He'll come in your land, delete everybody, and say I found this land. I'm the people of this land.
Civilized.
Yeah.
No, that's what he said. It's that God complex. He thinks, you know, he's more noble than everybody. You know, which again, he's a devil. He's the lowest of the lowest. He's on the basis of men. But when he does a favor for you, all right, best believe is to take advantage of you, man. As to say, favor is deceitful, right? All this flattery, you know. again, beware of him, man. Especially a dude that's trying to, puff you up, feel good, trying to do something, man. Trying to take advantage of you. That's how dudes are with females, man. Lie's gonna tell them a whole fantasy, trying to take it to Disneyland. They get to the back of the car, Exactly, that's over.
And this shit switch up quick. But y'all, this is a quick preset right quick. Psalms chapter 55, verse 21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
That goes into politics, man. Being a politician, man. And smooth with the words, Fill you up, man. Make you feel good. Disarm you, And he takes advantage of you. That's how he operates, man. You can't get with the so-called Native American tribes, man. All the covenants and peace treaties. He honored any of them, but it sounded good. That's the why people like to lie to him, man. Because they want to be lied to. They love being lied to. They love being told to do. I want to be cool with you, like, I want you. I like you. That's great, man. After your whole family line almost got cut off because this man, again, he hates you.
Even now, hey, you need some assistance, we'll make sure your rent low. We'll make sure you got food stamps. We'll make sure you get government assistance and get some help. But then they'll pull the rug from in front of you, and now you ain't got no man, not a family divided, and now you homeless and fucked up and unsustainable, and you became dependent. You became dependent on him. And then he made you dependent on him. You thinking you doing good, but you really just destroying.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and verse 9. That this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord.
That's our people, man. Again, you have watchmen and people that look over you. That's in your best interest, especially now, man. The Lord raised up prophets and government. What are people doing? They're still trying to believe in this two-party system. I'm gonna vote blue, I'm gonna vote red, right? It's good to say that had two horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. That's you're ready for draconian measures, man. Mr. DJ Trump in office sending Marines on you, man. Not the Coast National Guards. No, he's sending Marines. People that are trained literally to kill. That's all about, man. It's a flex.
Marines not average, like you said. Marines not average men. They train to kill, and they train to go under harsh tension environment.
Everybody that's getting to the head of these elites end up your agenda. They're gonna stop at nothing. They're too close to this thing being fulfilled. They're gonna get to the point where they're eating at the table, which we are now, right? And they're about to fulfill their belly. The Lord gonna bring that wrath upon them. But that's what they're at the table. Food's getting prepared, everything's getting set up. Where they end up your agenda, man. They're not gonna stop because you can't find about something, that is never gonna change. Okay, they're gonna set up this end of your system where it's so much more demonic than again paying taxes on people going through.
It's Isaiah 30 and verse 10, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not, unto us right things, speaking to us smooth things.
That's why Esau is still in power, man. All this was the Lord, but because our people empower him, man. They don't have no problem being Greekified, Americanized, being assimilated to this evil world, allowing moral activity and thug behavior to happen. They don't have no problem with that, Because why? It's our people. They're lying children. We're babes, right? You got men that stood over you to tell you the truth. They're crying for justice. They're crying for peace. It's not going to come from the enemy, man. We're saying to the Lord, honor him. That's why you're in this position in the first place, man. If I was going into the book of Baruch, the Lord brought this thing upon you, man. He sent the devil upon you, He sent the robbers and spoils upon you. Why? Because you pissed the Lord off, man. It's simple as that, but our people don't want to acknowledge accountability. They want to blame somebody else and say he's the problem. No, you are the problem. Look at our people, man. The devil's been doing the devil. You know, he'll get mad at the dog because he barks. He'll get mad at Esau because he's the devil. That's what he does, man. That's what he's made to do. But our people are out of order, man. You know? So you say the seeds. I don't want to hear nothing about Al-Bashir. I don't want to hear nothing about prophecy. I don't hear nothing you got to say in that book. But that's our people. They ain't saying there was lying people, man. Lying truth. So when I hear the words of Al-Bashir, what's going to happen? You do every day. You know, you're born. Is that on that verse?
So this is a little bit more. It says prophesy deceits.
Prophesy deceits. When the devil up on that podium and started rapping and tapping, they were like, yeah. You know, let this nigga come up with some Jordans. They got some ones on. He get in the boat. That's how simple our people are, man. You know? We are freeing Kodak and all these murderers, man. NBA young boy. Niggas, they don't do nothing for your people, man. And you cheering on them. You know? Because you're the same people that chose the rappers, man. You chose a murderer over the Lord. You know? So again, whatever happens, that's going to do, man. You know? But again, you were warned. That's it. So that they watching this. We got it.
It says, Isaiah 30:11, it says, get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us.
Exactly. So that ability, again, resisting how about stiff arm, right? They juking, spin moving, hurdling over the words of Yahweh Shai. I'm gonna say, those that hate me love death. Just go die, man. Keep eating your shrimp, your hand, your lobster, keep trusting your enemy, keep marching for justice, keep writing little Twitter posts, right? Thinking you saying some shit, thinking you deep, right? Talking about back to Africa. Niggas been talking about going back to Africa. Niggas don't want you over there. And don't want you. Nobody wants you. You're a nation undesired. Everybody looks at you as, what the hell are you going to do with these people, man? Because ultimately, you're supposed to be power. You know, on the how about your shot. And but our people, again, they chose this, tradition. All you got to do is obey. Right? All you got to do is obey now. Repent. The Lord's his hands being stretched out. Right? A lot of people saying,
Yeah, the scripture say the Lord is full of mercy and compassion. And the Lord is full of mercy and compassion, and he wants the people to repent. You know, he wants the people to turn back to him. Because now our people have turned away, our people have forsaken the Lord, they abandoned their power. You know, but the Lord has his hand and his arm stretched forth to a rebellious people. But he still has his arm and hand stretched forth, and he wants you to repent. You know? He wants you to examine yourself. And in the scripture said, righteous man falls 7 times. He know you gonna mess up. But it's about giving effort. It's about giving diligence. It's about giving effort. It's about fighting the good fight of faith. The fight of faith and diligence and effort ain't just for one day. It's a lifestyle. You know, you don't be good for 1 year and then be bad for the next year. You know, but there's ups and downs. And it's about continually fighting for your crown.
you fight for a losing system. We're probably trying to end this world. You're trying to get a crumb, less than a crumb now. You be ready to get a speck.
It's a losing food, but we still young, so if we wanted this kingdom to go on, we will be planning to retire when we 70. So this is what, 67? Is it 65 or 67 right now for retirement? I think they raised. I think it's 67. But by the time, you know, decades back, by the time for us, the retirement age is 70 or just until you die. So it's like, what you want to work until you literally got to work until you die. Literally. And then when you do retire, your retirement ain't gonna be nothing. You ain't even gonna be able to survive off of that.
They're talking about now all these pensions and 401ks, they about to go down the toilet, man. It's done. Your grandma that's about to retire, auntie about to retire, she's gonna get a rude awakening when that check don't come through, man. Because the country is defaulted. They don't got no money to pay nobody. This devil owes everybody money. He's going around policing the world, and he's in, he's talking about that thick clay. You want money from him. You don't got no money, you got no wealth. No? Because again, the Lord gonna bring the thing down.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 4, and verse 30. And when thou art spoiled, what wilt thou do? Though thou clothest thyself with crimson, though thou deckest thee with ornaments of gold, though thou rentest thy face with painting, in vain shalt thou make thyself fair. Thy
I'm gonna read it again. This is going to our people. This is before the temple got, taken down by Nebuchadnezzar. Jeremiah's born in that age. He's gonna be somebody more superior, that's gonna be raised up, and take the place down, man. And remember, this is talking to Judah. Judah, they was straight, man. They was going hello, all right, but they was in power, man. They saying, who never, who? They called Jeremiah, they were trying to get him from treason, man. Somebody a traitor, he's just a prophet, But again, going to read again.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 4, and verse 30. And when thou art spoiled, what wilt thou do? Though thou clothest thyself with crimson, though thou deckest thee with ornaments of gold.
Well, when this comes upon you, the job that the Lord is prophesying to you, it's certain prophets, what are you going to do? This man ain't coming with you now. What are you going to do when your calamity comes? Remember, Esau's the one who burnt the temple. He was the one saying race and race, right? When the Babylonians came, he was causing hell on the southern tribes. He put the cherry on top. He didn't help. He saw your affliction. And again, he added fuel to the fire, man. So what are you going to do now? See, Jacob's trouble people. You're really going to put his foot up your ass, man. Esau want to do it now. The average everyday Edomite is getting back into that spirit, man. Of that pure hatred, that old southern hatred, of these so-called niggas that you're who's doing that? The Lord. He's trying to make it clear this is your enemy. Don't trust him. So you're going to do something else.
And a lot of Jakes is ignorant to the fact that's a lot of secret organizations and secret groups that already been training and preparing for these days. These Edomites. They training. They going to the gun range. They training. They fighting each other hand to hand combat. They already got secret codes and secret names for these groups, and they around us already.
Exactly. Look, we know that he's waiting. He's a hunter. Yeah. These niggas, coming from McDonald's to go march and shit. This man been all week training. Yeah. Some shit to pop up. He waiting for an excuse. They spend a lot of money on training, man. So again, when that time comes, they're not gonna show no mercy. He's gonna shoot kids. He don't care. All them baby kids, they getting shot, man. And they could have been
it turned off really.
You never know. You never know, because these people in these groups, there's police officers, judges, lawyers, firefighters. The everyday redneck. Like these ain't military. It's all groups of society. It could be somebody you work with. It could be your supervisor. It could be your supervisor. It could be the white boy you see every day at work that you think is cool. Because they understand and know to be under the radar. They're not gonna be on Facebook making posts.
I know you're gonna say that.
And I could be walking around with a shirt on saying I hate Negroes. They know how to be deceitful, because for one, they're the devil. They deceive. So they understand the power of being wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. But they're not harmless as a dove. But they understand to be wise as a serpent. So they could be patient, proud, and strike when the time comes. And they already there. They already set up shop.
It don't take long. And read. This devil's been waiting for a long time to put his hands on you. So-called niggas that you look at America, he just been waiting for an excuse. He hates that you can go to, downtown and walk around free without no chains and shackles, man. He feel like he messed up in that part, man. Giving you the internet, giving you a so-called voice. You don't gotta say master no more. Living in their neighborhood. Now you live in their neighborhood, taking their job. This that sentiment that's being spilled. Especially to the wicked, man. Because you believe they want people to clash, Again, this is how you create an NWO, Is it one of Jeremiah? Finish it.
Yeah. Jeremiah 4 and 30 it says, when thou art spoiled, what wilt thou do? Though thou clothest thyself with crimson, though thou deckest thee with ornaments of gold, though thou rinsest thy face with painting, in vain shalt thou make thyself fair.
Yep.
Thy lovers will despise thee, they will seek thy life.
Yep. So in vain you make yourself fair and you look good. You know, they're so worried about appearances. You know, they get your beard lined up and all that. You know, because getting onto Israel, they're lacking onto a common intellectual woman. Well, you know, in your eyes, you think you're pretty towards the Lord, but you're not, man. You know, that's what they say. Well, Yahweh said himself, there's people honor me with the lips, but their heart is far from me. Don't call me Lord if you do what I say to do, man. Don't call me master. You know, because they do don't goddamn thing, man. Then they want, again, their car flipped upside down. You know, they $2,000 behind their car paid. They didn't want to say, "Oh my God." We want the Lord like he pull up like he a genie, man. You know?
Or when little Ray got shot, or Ray in jail, or somebody granny died, or granny sick, not even call on the Lord.
Exactly. Yep. Like you just read, all that lovers have forsaken this, going to your idols, man. Call on JC in that time, man. See what's gonna happen, man. He's gonna get that devil. He's gonna pull up himself, man. Long and everything with an AR. You know? Talking about you summoning me. Right? And Jake, you know, Jake works with all type of guys, man. I was walking up from the bar and stuff, trying to, you know, get through the park. There's some black bitch man with tarot cards, just playing bitch like it's Pokemon. I'm like, wait, that's our people, man. You know. So again, when that time comes, you can't flip them motherfucking cards fast enough, man. You know, get a good fortune out of that. No, man, it ain't gonna work, man. Especially as say that, then start coming like a flood. Rushing water, you know, it looks like it's moving, but when they get point, you're not escaping that rushing water, man. That's what flood troops. We got helicopters flying around. They went to mercy. All week I seen helicopters flying around. They're prepared for this shit, man. They marching around and stealing tennis shoes. Niggas finding excuse to be more niggas, man.
They got a plan in case these niggas act up. Well, we see more Edomites than anything.
See, you know what's funny about that? When shit leave the fan, especially when these cops start coming down, they get the order. You might see military geared up. They're not gonna say, Jay, no, he didn't do nothing. Another fighter's gonna get up out of there. Yeah, man, they're just here because it feels good to them. They don't give a shit. You know, they feel like they're doing the right thing. They're convicted. Let us do something. This ain't doing shit, man. But you're gonna go back to your Tesla. You know, go back to a 3-story house. You know, and shit gonna change, man. You know. Because again, never trust thy enemy, man. When the time comes to double cross it, they're gonna do it, man. Especially when it's convenient for them. Now you trust your boss, we're not liking those companies. We're stand up guys. When that time that pressure comes, especially from up top, what are they gonna do? I hate to lose to you. You know, you're a good dude, but you know how them devils is, man. Smooth words. The whole time he's been ready to get with your ass, man. Because he feel threatened, because he's a sorry ass boss, supervisor. You're there long enough, you know you're going to take your job. Yeah, you know, you're going to find some names, you know, you left your home, something done, get you by some stupid policy that they know niggas can't get that, right? Getting cameras in your car, you're driving a work truck, you went over the speed up too fast, and I take that time. You know? So when NWO comes around, right, and people start shuffling, you know, panic kicks in, you know, they're not going to be on your side, man. You know, especially concerning profits. Those that really stand up for rights and sake, they're no allies in this world, man. You know, I mean, allies are believers in our rocket side. Now it's a fake, you know. You have something? Bet your hatred. Maybe it'll come back.
This is Isaiah chapter 65. It's Isaiah chapter 65, we'll start at verse 1. I am sought of them that asked not for me. I am found of them that sought me not.
Yep, and that's the Lord trying to get to our people, man. You know, saying, behold me. Behold me, behold me.
Yep. I said, behold me, behold me. Unto a nation that was not called by my name.
You know that feeling, man. So that, especially in school, you was young, you was a kid, you didn't really know nothing. But one female, he just, man, she ain't giving me no play. You know, it's cold, man, how the game is, man. You know, that's how the Lord deals with us. We're not acknowledging him. You know, but I'm better than all these dudes out here. These guys you follow with, come on, man.
You know, to show you love, but shit, give me your ass kiss.
And that's why, again, the Lord is off, man. He's going to turn the script real soon, right? Because he's a jealous power, man. Anybody have to be jealous, man. Like you grit your teeth, man. You know? Especially concerning your
I have sought out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people.
Yep. And that's, again, that's who so-called Negroes that, you know, in America all day, week in and week out. You know, brothers pushing the work. You know, we live normal lives, man. We work with, you know, knuckleheads, man. You know, with those certain jewels out there, niggas, no bite. You know what I'm saying? They tend to sub it. You know, Julio Jones, you know, NBA Finals. They start talking about, you know, vanity, man. It's too much for them, man. They can't cross that road like all the people that's coming from. They can't enter in. You know, so again, and that's why I was like, what's the scene? Because when was for your welfare now, hey man, you got to know what's gonna come. I told you these niggas gonna do something, you know? And now people they wanna hang around, bullshit, Terry, you know? So when lightning strikes, it's quick and cool, man. Ain't no, you know, you can do nothing. There's nothing they can do, man. I had the time. That's why when the Lord said to Jeremiah, they're not pushing. It don't even matter, man. You know?
You'll be praying for a bunch of willingly ignorant, wicked people. Willingly. You know, they know to do better, but they won't do it. And it's because they don't want to, they don't even want to do better. They don't even want to try. They don't even want to try. You know? They know you ain't supposed to steal, kill, or eat abominable foods, or celebrate pagan holidays, and a lot of Jakes have that knowledge. They know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. No, but they still do it anyway.
Which, you know, that's the Lord said, you know, you're gonna receive more stripes. You know, because you knew better, man. You know, even Jacob himself, you know, he's called having a conscience. You know, Apostle Paul said that our people that have a law within themselves. There's certain things you just know you're not supposed to do. You know, being a mole, right? Growing up, you know, niggas that I was moles, they was not out there out. They knew that wasn't right. Why? That's like Paul being in the closet. And guess what? You're busting your enemy now. It's okay. You fighting stuff. That's the detail one. You know, I can talk about this niggas and get rich. You know, have a RICO charge in one of our in prison right now. That's our people, man. You know, simple as hell, man. You know, so again, when stuff really starts, you know, moving, especially how quick things gonna roll, you know, we're gonna have us somewhere where we're gonna be away from it, man. We couldn't have them if we wanted to, man. Ultimately, we don't. Lord, he said, you know, when they're good, they're gonna be punished.
Hey, you mentioned conscience. People's conscience is gonna condemn them. You know, if they say that your conscience should be seared with a hot iron, I believe that's what it said. Because when the time of Jacob's trouble come, and calamity and horror and death and etc., people gonna be thinking. You know, yeah, they gonna be panicking and shit. But when them times get quiet and this part ain't no motion going on, they gonna be thinking in their head, there's gonna be a lot of I should have, could have, would have.
That's the worst feeling.
Yeah.
You know, knowing you could have did something, you did it. That's called regret. You know? Especially you see the men who's getting hurt, getting beamed up, keep looking off the ground, you looking at it like, damn.
Especially if you're a stalker.
Oh, yeah.
I was about to say, that was a long time. So they already got some shit going on. Yeah, man, especially if you imagine a scoffer seeing the same person that they was dogging out, talking mad shit about, seeing them getting beamed up. Imagine how they go feel. They gonna be like, damn. Especially if they knew that person personally for years. Like, yo, I knew that. I grew up with him. I knew him. I was cool with him. And I watched it, and he tried to tell me.
Yep.
He tried.
That's why the Lord said, as the days of Noah. You best believe them jakes at that time that seen what was happening, you know, the build up of the storm and raindrops, and as the saying goes, when it rains and pours, you know, it was raining for a long time, man. You know? And the water filled up quick. The Lord said he opened up he opened the floodgates, man, on high, man. The water was coming from the ground, it was coming out from the belly, man. You know? And then you see Noah, can you lift it up? And you kind of bang on that thing. You know, he was rocking. He's been crazy. He's been out here for 100-something years, talking about the same stuff, talking about the rain. You know? That's what happened, man. That damn sure happened, man.
And you gotta, and it said it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. You gotta think to the people that didn't die right away, or they didn't drown right away. That was up on the high hills, or that survived for the first 20 days. You know what I mean? What about the people that survived for the first week or so? You know, that went to high grounds and the water just kept rising and rising and rising until they couldn't run nowhere else. It was babies, children, men, women, young, elder, you know? Shit, man, that was a serious time.
How much more worse now? The brutality and violence that's getting ready to happen on this earth, man. You're gonna know it's how about your shot, man. It's where you heard it first. So, yep.
I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good, after their own thoughts.
Exactly. Going a way that's not good after your own thoughts, right? You know? If you was, you know, the Lord give you the benefit of the doubt. If Jake's doing his thing, you know, he's keeping the Lord's ways, you know, he's honoring them, you know, doing what they gotta do in righteousness, the Lord wouldn't bother Jake. We'd be in the kingdom. You know? Obviously it's a bigger plan. You know, but Jake is going a way that's not good. Just constantly over and over, just fumbling. You know, following after the bad example of our forefathers. You know? You got them uncles, man. Niggas ain't right, man. Granddads, pops, you know? You're not right, man. You know, he's following after that same rat race, man. The same wheel. You know? Going to jail. Getting out. Talking about you're gonna do this and that. Go back to jail. You know? Same old bullshit, man.
Still a YN.
YN. Exactly, just modern YNs, man. That thing was crazy too, man. Always talking about the niggas now is bad as hell. Niggas now is bad as hell, man. You know?
You had to learn it from somebody.
Exactly what they learned that from, man. You know? So y'all have to pay for that. That lineage of niggerisms is gonna end here in so-called America. What?
A people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face.
Right. You do that to the Lord, right? Niggas don't like spiders, you know, snakes. You don't want to take them animals off. Lions, bears. They can scared of water because he can't swim. But you're going to provoke the heavenly quality of how about you shot, man. The Lord says he's a man of war. And it says continually, man, you do it on purpose. They know he's not right, and they keep doing the same shit over and over again. And I probably should do that. I probably should preach this one. That kind of shit, man. You know? Walking past the prophet, scoffing, mocking, saying shit under your breath. That's what? Just provoke the Lord of anger, man. Because his eyes should have absolutely died, man. Regret from his son, his cheek. Y'all the same thing that thing that was done on the cross, man. Y'all the same generation that's going to tag along with Esau and the followers of the king, the first of the prophets, man. Right? The Lord said he's going to come. You know, with fury and vengeance, that's exactly what he's going to do. You know, he's not coming back as a man. You know, you think you watch anime movies like that, he turned up. Goku, you know what I'm saying? He was Super Saiyan and stuff. You ain't seen nothing, man. You know? With the real deal pressure in your face, the Lord is not going to come back. You know? Because of this. You say, why God coming back so mad? What do we do to him? That's Jake. He'll say, where's thou loved us? You know? They want all the favors and good fortune, but don't live from it. You want to be a millionaire, a billionaire, what you going to do with that money? Be a nigga. You know? You're going to do nothing good with it. Even worse. It's going to be a worse nigga, man. It's going to empower you with that bread. You know? Let's do this disclaimer. What is in the proper side? I'm probably being weird.
I mean, the cop cars were out.
We're speeding. We're doing like a reverse.
That was a EMS, you know, and Somebody did something that was illegal.
Yeah, you got people in situations like this. The real criminals, they're gonna take advantage, man. You know, you women walking out here half naked and stuff. All this, in the midst of all this confusion, your ass gonna get grabbed up. You know, walking these marches, niggas grabbing your ass, stealing your phones, all that stuff. What you gonna do, man?
Just like it's people with it's people with the northern tribes, protesting for the Latinos getting arrested by ICE, but then you got people in the mess taking advantage so they can go steal and rob and loot. They don't even give a fuck about protesting or even care about who getting snatched up by ICE. They just using it as, oh shit, I'm about to run up in this sneaker store, I'm about to run up in this TV store. Yeah, I'm about to come up, all Jake go run into the sneaker stores, the electronic stores, and the jewelry stores.
Right.
Then the top 3 stores Jake go run up in.
Yep, you gonna FaceTime shit. Tell me about this.
Yep. And yeah, go post it on his social media what he got.
Right.
AI,
name.
and with his government on there, AI watching them. The government, Esau watching them.
Yeah.
But hey, Jake don't go steal work boots.
Right.
Jake don't go steal
Power tool.
power tools or real artillery.
Right.
They go steal a bunch of bullshit.
Right.
You go steal some Jordans or some Air Maxes.
Right. They get grabbed up to my ain't do nothing.
Yeah. You just wouldn't risk your life for some sneakers. Man, that's how simple Jake is, man. Because when Esau eat him still, he gonna steal something worth something.
Exactly. You gonna stay your land.
Yeah.
You're gonna stay your inheritance.
Right.
You don't care about TV.
Esau don't go steal sneakers. He don't go steal a 65 inch. He don't care about that. He gonna steal something worth value or something to make him some money.
So-called white power. Niggas in these high-rise buildings, they robbing billions of dollars.
Yeah, fraud to the max.
Our house is like billions, D's, M's. And we the criminals. This nigga do proxy will steal your country and set up a leader, and he gonna tax your ass, right? And get right, exactly. Yeah. Look at South America, Nigga, that same Jorge or Lopez, he an Edomite, man. Don't forget, them conquistadors was Edomites, man. They could have been sprinkled Jakes in there, Jake was always in the mix. Same with back then, he had Romans, Centurions, that was Jake. Obviously, Cornelius is an example, But nonetheless, who was running the show is Esau. Same with, the French, all them Portuguese, all them heathenistic languages, you speak them, it's because you're oppressive, man. Simple as that.
And burning incense upon altars of brick.
Yep, burning incense to them other gods, man.
The Latin tribes good for that.
Especially Latin tribe. You talking about the Pope. Nigga like 0.5% Negro, and they talking about, oh, he's one of us. Oh, please, man. Where you got that information? Ancestry.com? They said the new Pope, he got some niggas, whatever. Come on, man.
And then they go to business? Ancestry.com?
I think it was 23.
Okay, yeah. For somebody who's
They all work together. They're just databases. How you got your DNA? Some mad scientists
Using your DNA to create a weapon that'll destroy your
vaccines, man. But you got an mRNA, whatever shit is in there. They using biological weapons to attack you niggas specifically, man.
Which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh and broth of abominable things in their vessels.
Yep. That's why Jake's cursed. You want cursing stuff, man. You eating swine and praying onto idols. You can't get the break. You wonder why. Even tarot cards, being superstitious, talking about, oh, my horoscope, shut up. What's going on?
You ever watch a movie, like a TV show that'll have a witch in it? And sometimes it's true, it's always a pig's head.
Some off stuff, because why? Because you're appeasing the God shit. Go ahead. Let's go to lawful. But they doing some weirdo shit, because they're honoring God. That's facts though, because it's saying on the right hand side we got customs and rituals. On the left hand side, that's how you appease your God, and they do that on the left hand side. Going to church every Sunday, praying to JC, stomping the feet, talking about the Holy Ghost. You got a holy demon on you, man. You know? And they wonder why you hurt, man. Your pastor pull up in the bed. You know, doing extra studying with your wife.
Withstand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou.
Yep, that's our people. It's in the Proverbs. It's a generation that, you know, they swear they're holy, man. You know, they don't honor their father, their mother, you know, which is, you know, going to ultimately Yahweh Shah, man. You know, so fear, wisdom, you know. But they're holy in their own eyes. It's, again, no accountability. They're not doing nothing wrong, you know. They think it's innocent, man. You know? They're not, right?
These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day.
Think about a foul smell. Something that just, you know, think about bad smell. They can piss you off and offend you. You're going to pass some garbage cans. Ugh. You know? That smoke in your nose, again, it's ultimately pissing the Lord off, man. You know? That goes to those sins that are dead. You time hand in hand with the wicked. This man, since we took on to heaven, you co-signed it, man. You consented. Because a lot of people, you know, our people, they want to get along with this guy, man. He's a cursed man. He's cursed. He's cursed in the earth. Look at his skin. Right?
I'm going to jump to verse 12. Isaiah 65, verse 12. Therefore will I number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter.
Yeah, you're gonna be a what they call it, casualty of war, man.
That sound like God is love, God is all love, or God is good. God is good all the time, but the Lord just said, I'm gonna number you to the sword, you all shall bow down to the slaughter. Yeah. You know where that scripture brought out of the church at? About the Lord slaughtering people.
Yeah, the Lord already wrote off you wicked so-called niggas that you in America. The Lord already got you waiting off to lose, man. Cut off. You're not in that book of life. You don't have that insurance policy. You don't have the blood of the Lamb on you. You have the blood of Satan on you, man. Especially take that MOTB. You know, them missiles they don't kiss you, man.
Hey, the missiles. Come on, the Lord said your eyes shall melt in your head, and your tongue will be consumed in your mouth. Come on, think about that. Your eyes and your tongue melting in your head. That's a real deep description. You know, that's a real deep description. Real visual. You know, your eyes and your tongue go consumed in your head. That's in Zechariah. Yeah, that's a curse. And at the end of that was the beginning of the Terminator when it was on the fence, it was melting away. Yeah, Terminator 2.
Yep, yeah, she had the vision.
Had the vision. The eyes was melting in their head and their tongues was consuming away in their mouth. Because when I called, ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not.
So it was a conscious decision for you to go off and be healed. Again, as the Lord said, when he was on the scene, if I had not come, they had not sinned. But now, since the Lord pulled up, which now he said, 2 or 3 gather my name, I'm in the midst. Now you have no cloak. Now, you know, we're in the age of you can't say I didn't know no more, man. You know, information travels at light speed. You can figure it out as quick as possible, man. The Lord be dealing with you, you know. But our people willingly, as I said earlier, are willingly ignorant. They chose to. They don't want to know. Because why? Because not knowing equals no accountability. You have to change. I didn't know. It's the first thing a nigga get caught doing some shit. Oh, I didn't know. You did know, man. You know? Again, seeing the stuff that's happening around the world, you talking about I didn't know. Planes dropping out of the sky. People getting bombed and shit. First thing in the morning for breakfast, getting bombs. You know? Whole operations. You just, you know, this is normal. This is normal shit. You know? Because that's our people that they become numb. They're just dead creatures, man. Just no stimulus, nothing. Just zombies.
Okay, they said they didn't know nothing about real shit, but they know everything was going on with P. Diddy. They know everything about that case.
Yeah.
You know, they know everything. They know everything that's going on with NBA YoungBoy and Lil Durk and all these other idols. You know, Israelite idols. And they all locked up. They all in trouble. They all locked up and in trouble, but they still idolized. And they not being locked up for nothing good. They all locked up for murder, sex trafficking, extortion, and rape, and things of that nature. They all locked up for.
Exactly. Yeah. Come out, hang on and stuff. It was a serial killer. Yes. Like, not a murderer. This thing was a serial killer. Serial killer is like when you try to kill more than 3 people. You know? Again, that's not what people chose.
And he delighted in doing it.
He had no problem. He told you on the track what to do.
He was happy about it. And he lived by the sword and he died by the sword. And it was recorded. Oh yeah, you could go look at the video now of him getting deleted.
This is Jeremiah 4:22. For my people is foolish, they have not known me. They are silent children, and they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge.
They know all the scams, you know, all the glitches, you know, but the Son of the Lord, no knowledge, you know. It says, you know, all you getting stupid. My people are stupid, man. Simple as hell, right? They know everything again to be evil, to be wicked. You know, all the ins and outs. They give you the download on all the evil shit, you know. To do good, to eat good. They don't know nothing about what a GMO is, you know. You'll see organic maybe, and that's as far as you'll go. But the labels and stuff, especially in the US, it's all deceptive, man. Organic is all technicalities. It's technically organic by food. The devil says organic. You know? Real organic is from the earth itself. You know, not processed. Right? But again, that's why stuff happens to people because they're just stupid, man. Our people are literally embarrassed. Every time on the news, which is part of this, of course, Esau accused thy brethren, you know, it's always Jake doing some dumb shit. You know? And thinking it was a good idea at some point in time. You know? You still thinking of marching was a good idea. You know? The thing goes to the point how people have rejected knowledge. They'd rather be simple, they'd rather be stupid, they'd rather be low level. You know? So,
this is Jeremiah 5:26. For among my people are found wicked men.
yep.
They lay await as he that says snares. They set a trap. They catch men. As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore, they are become great and waxen rich.
Yeah, because again, going to the people that ultimately fall for this stuff, you know, these scams, traps, pyramid schemes, the ones that are on top, you know, a lot of times be Jake, you know, they be getting off on that stuff. A lot of these so-called YouTubers, they'll start cryptos, you know, you dumbasses will buy the top, you know, oh, this shit went from 1 penny to $50, you buy that 50, and he cash out on you, the whole shit just fall down, man, you know, so it goes into ignorance of our people, man, that are enemies of the cross, man, that could be using, you know, their subtlety and their tricks and stuff for righteousness, man.
Yeah, a lot of those guys they get sponsorships to promote certain coins. You know, that's basically to get off, right? They know it's a bad investment, right? They know something isn't going to benefit you, but they tell you to do it, right? Also, they can profit. It's all based off deception at the end of the day, right?
Going against these so-called Israelite camps, you know, that's numero uno, man, on the list, man. They're supposed to be guiding you to Yahweh Shai, man. But no, you gotta buy a starter pack.
Oh yeah.
No, you gotta buy a subscription.
You know, I believe it's the Mormons what they hand out flyers. I see, hand out flyers. Jehovah's Witnesses, that's what it is. Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, yeah. They hand out flyers. That tells you that that's not of the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai. You know, we're to gather men by the words. You know, faith coming by hearing, hearing by the word of Yahweh. Right? Let Yahweh be true and every man a liar. Well, these guys are a bunch of liars. Oh, false promises, doing else, you'll be good.
know, you'll get the exclusive breakdown. Just pay a small fee of $30 a month. You know, I'll break down Revelation. I'll break down. Let's talk about the prophets for hire ultimately, man. I'll prophesy on you gotta pay. You know? You can be in a group, but you gotta pay, a down payment for buying a goddamn car. Down payment. Because why? Because they're all for game. And that's how, again, going to the elites, they know how to pay Jacob. The boss always say, you can buy a nigga cheap, man. A nigga sell out for anything. A bag of chips, nigga sell you out at the damn what's this called? Playground.
Oh, during the C19, I forgot what mayor it was, but he was eating a box of chicken and fries. He was, man, you remember that clip?
Oh, yeah.
He was like, you telling me he was all of this,
Chicken,
and all I gotta do is stick my arm out?
What's that nigga who backs that thing up? Who was that?
That was New York. Was it the New York mayor or somebody in New York? That
Yeah, but the brother's talking about a song.
Max that thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Juvenile. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Max that thing up.
Yeah, you know he got paid to do that. You know, they call him up, hey, we got a job for you. Yeah, he probably wrote the song himself. He was probably looking for a promotion. Like, hey, I got a song on it, you know. Yeah, can I get some sponsors?
Or some more money. You know, that's a falling off rapper. So shit, him coming out with that, got him a big check.
Now this is Sirach chapter 19 and 22.
Slack de Blasio, the New York mayor that you talking about?
Oh, the
Was it
Blasio,
white dude?
the New York mayor.
The fried chicken. Yeah.
You can have this. I mean,
I know it was New York.
Yeah, that clip was hilarious. He really played that. He really sold it.
y'all want to defend it.
No, but I was about to say, you know how disrespectful that is.
Hey, I'm
You know what that was geared? That was geared towards us.
Yeah, I had family members, that got it, and they were upset that a week after they got it, that they were offering $100 to go get it. They were like, man, I wish I would have just waited. I would have got my $100. I was thinking myself,
He start paying you to do something, you know it ain't right. If he offering you, because you gotta think. First of all, if it was a legit treatment or cure, it wouldn't be available to the public. Only the rich would be able to get it.
Exactly.
And Esau Edom will be the first in line. Jacob be the last to get it if it was something really serious. And we would have to pay to get it. They wouldn't pay us to take it. We would have to pay for them to give it to us. If it was real.
Yeah. Jack know that rule. Nothing in life is free, but you get a free vaccine.
Yeah, they don't give cancer treatments for free, right?
And people are really dropping. They should have a whole program. They should have a fund for people who have that, need that treatment. But it's all a scam.
Yeah, and then people paying for the cancer treatment, and the cancer treatment is unaliving people.
Oh yeah.
From the chemotherapy. You'll survive.
That's the theory behind it. Yeah, that's the theory. But no, that one is there.
Yeah.
I can't say all that.
Right.
But this is Sirach, chapter 19 and 22. The knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners prudence.
Exactly. So don't be coming up here talking about my theological seminary doctrine and all this other stuff. The wisdom in this world is foolishness, man. Who cares about again all this wicked left-hand technology? Obviously, the Lord's intervening, inspired by the Lord ultimately. Like the Paul say this, the Lord's chip. But again, the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. Because what is wisdom? Fear of the Lord. Simple as that.
Yeah, because guys talking about, we gotta go get the jump shot. We gotta go get the 3-point shot because my shows are slowing down, and they thought they were wise complying with Esau Edom.
Right.
But that led to them committing wickedness. Right? It showed forth that their counsel didn't have any prudence, any foresight of the pending dangers that could come, the backlash from taking that thing, what it would do for their people. How it would harm their people. I was in this public place, this guy was giving a testimony how that thing really messed him up. You know, he got basically he's never going to be the same. You know, he has to get treatment. You know, well, you know, keep it. I don't know what kind of the algos be tripping, but
I know somebody too personally that personally told me ever since they received the potion injection that they also haven't been right either, and they've been getting sick nonstop, and they got the potion injection some years back, you know, and then in the recent months, information and articles been coming out about the potion injection and on the effects it's having on the people, and then the potion injection just recently got passed through with a lesser dose or lesser whatever they had in the original ones, so that it won't affect people like God did the ones that first got.
Yeah, they're putting, you know, just going back to the inauguration with Trump. You know, look at those people that were standing next to him. Look what companies they were in charge of. They were leading. You know, you had some type. Basically, these guys are transhumanists. You know, technology that's going to be able to detect. You know, before you get, because right now they have technology. You can put technology in your car. You know, that tells you when you need to get an oil change or when you need to check engine light. Right? You know, they got stuff like that, but now they want to put it inside of you, you know, to be able to check when you're gonna be with a flu. Hey, you gotta take this. It's gonna be. They got movies on it. They got this. You gotta be kind of indiscreet, you know, with your wording, but it's out there. The technology is already here. The setup is already here. Even when you see all these Teslas. Even when Elon was coming out with these Teslas, he said the first people who are going to get self-driving cars are people with good driving records, showing that's a socialism, not socialism. What's it called when like a social credit score? That's what it's called, a social credit score. You know, so we're in those times. They've been hinting at it for all these years. You know, we're basically at the end of the world. I got a precept, that Proverbs. I'm going to read this and then I'm going to jump down. This is Proverbs 1:10. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not.
Consent not, meaning don't agree. You know? Because, you know, especially our people who are peaceful people, most times we just want to chill, man. We don't want no problems. You know? We like doing that cool. What they say, that's him, that ain't me. You know? But you not saying nothing is saying something, man. You know? So if you got no problem how the world's going and being observed, and, you know, being told to do stuff by your so-called technocrats, you know, with your unelected officials, people that have no reason telling you what the hell you need to be doing, but because of the so-called experts, they can tell you what to do, man. According to, 1984 dot crime, you know, that's where we're at, man. You know, who's gonna run that system is AI.
Yeah.
You know, no more, because that's what the whole thing about, president, we can't trust. All right, cool. I'm gonna give you robots. You know?
Yeah, because there's a new show called Psycho. I think it's called Psychopaths. It's on Crunchyroll. It's a new anime. It's called Psycho something. I can't really remember. Just started watching it. But even when they have a crime group, but everything is AI. They have to put something like a CHIP right inside of them to sync themselves with the weapons, right? And they can't use the weapons unless the technology that's inside them reads that person's a threat. You know, so even a few years ago, which I can't find the video, they took the guy off. The guy had the MOT to the B to be able to use certain weapons like artillery. You know, but really they don't even need that, because the new technology that they're using to make wars of people is, you know, they're on a whole other level now. You know, we are there. But this is Proverbs 1:22. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? Right? And I wanted to add too. If you had Trump go meet with the Saudi Arabia, right, to basically make a deal. But there weren't world leaders, because you were talking about the technocrats. There weren't world leaders at that meeting. There were CEO of these major companies. These hyperscalers.
Yep. That's how the devil he's able to get stuff pushed because he make a whole entity that's private. Really, they're working on behalf of the central government. Because that's how they get around those so-called loopholes. Being able to push the new technology and stuff without due process, because they'll make these companies out of nothing, man. You had the head of Mossad over there in Israel, the spies. They make up stuff, man, to push their agenda and say straight to you, man. You watch that guy's channel, his star, he goes to that stuff, man. Because that's how they operate, man. They, behind the scenes, is how you get stuff done quicker. Nobody notices you, man. But the whole time that wave is creeping up on you slowly. Before, you grew up, not that old, but we didn't have a damn phone with us all the goddamn time. We was outside, running around, riding our bike. Now you can't do nothing without a screen in your face, man. Your car got screens. You can't deal with CDs and analog stuff no more.
Yeah, and your car has internet. Now the newer car, you can actually pay a program for your phone to have Wi-Fi. Your car has to have its own Wi-Fi, but it's already connected. It's already connected to the web, so they know where cars. They're able to track cars. Basically, they're able to keep, so their AI can get an algorithm to keep everyone. Even with these new iPhones, the iPhone 14 Pro has an always-on display. So now it's easier for them to have the front camera always on, right? So they can tap in at any time.
Watching you.
What do you think these data centers data? Where these AI is nothing but if you had 100 men in a room, get all their information. You had YouTube. Why do you think Google, right? Google owns YouTube. Why do you think Vivo 3 is so good at creating videos? They have their AI was literally fed YouTube videos.
Yep. As the saying goes, data is a new currency now. Because when you're a God, it's about information, all-knowing, omnipotent, omnipresent. That's how this devil wants to be with his satellites up in the air. You have satellites like constellations up here surveilling you, man. Watching your chip, And that's how they, they'll use a triangle to track people, Yeah, towers and satellites, But it's gonna be real time, instant, like you're gonna be a god on earth, man.
Yeah, they showed you in the iRobot, right? Because now Amazon, we talked about this last week, but Amazon created a small city. They created a city which is like a simulation city, where their their self-driving vans are being driven by robots. And then the robot will get out and deliver a package. So they're testing this thing out.
Exactly. Because they use the excuse of, it's about efficiency. No, it's about control, man. Same with this so-called science. No more morals, no more. It's not about morality. It's about the science. What is the science?
Yeah, but it's not going to be efficient because even with Tesla, they promised these cars years ago. It took them a long time to keep up with demand because Elon, he had his factory fully automated. He didn't have people in the factory building Tesla. No, it was a fully automated factory. So you have AI building, you have this AI system building self-driving cars. And it's crazy. And then you have, I'm gonna make one more point. You have the CEO of NVIDIA. He said we need AI. He basically said we need, in order for us to have robots, we need AI. But in order for us to have AI that's smart enough to create robots, we need AI. Artificial intelligence. So he's perfecting it. Right now, we made this analogy last week. It's as if the first cars are finally getting on the road. This thing is going to get better and better over years.
Yo, we legit gonna have real life Terminators. You seen some of them robots they created, but they put the skin on them and they really look real.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the weird stuff where they got the sex dolls. The sex dolls. Them sex dolls look real. You know, they give them a shape. They give them a shape and all that. I mean, they can make them curvy. Make them have real skin with the lips and all of that. And then they got the men. They make them look real. You know, with a real man built, skin, facial hair, all of that. When they so what they call them, humanoids? They call them humanoid. Yeah, right, with those humanoid robots, they gonna have walking around. If they slap that silicone, I think it's silicone. If they slap that silicone skin on those humanoid robots, it's gonna be walking around. It's gonna look like real people. And then say they could give those robots a mission. Go do this. Put it in the system. Robots gonna have facial recognition. It's gonna know where it's at. It's gonna be hooked up to the system, hooked up to the Wi-Fi. You know, that's a real life Terminator.
Yeah, bro.
That's the times we living in.
Nah, seriously. This is Proverbs 1:22. How long, ye simple ones, when ye love simplicity, and scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Because we're warning you about these things. But Jake thinks it's all a game. You know, because I believe it was in New York, they were talking about the subway was going to have this police robot. You know, that was going to be surveillance in the subway. So that way if a crime happens, yeah, it was. But the crazy, when I was in Memphis, when I visited Memphis last year, they had it in Memphis as well. Showing you, they'll say it's only going to be in New York, but other cities will establish it. You know, because right now they have a congestion tax in New York. You know, during rush hour. But now, don't worry about it. You can just stay home because AI is going to go do those factory jobs. You know, they're going to put a robot. And when we say AI, we're talking robots, everything, right? Because it's powered by AI. That's gonna do. If you work in the Amazon facility, sorting packages, we're just gonna make everything slower, but they don't really care. You know, it's not gonna be efficient. They don't care about efficiency in the system. That's a lie. It's a lie. Some things are gonna become more efficient, right? But physical labor, anything with physical labor, is gonna be very hard to make that more efficient. You know, human power, human resources. But they're trying to replace the human resource. Really, but they're always going to need them. The Matrix, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah. Turn them into robots.
Agent Smith. Shit, he was AI. He was for the system. You knew what was wrong going on in the system and shit. Kept everything in order. I got a piece of it back too.
I was thinking like rock race.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 19. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and I will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent.
The Lord loves doing that, man. He loves showing up. You know, you people on earth that swear you got something figured out. That's why the Lord let Esau get souped up like he souped up. Because the Lord want to have fun when he comes down, man. You know, the Lord could have took out, you know, the serpent in the garden. He let him get to a dragon. You know, he let him get built up. You know, gave him technology that no man on the earth ever had. This man got jets. You talking about AI, this stuff is not even, you know, we can't even fathom the stuff that he got going on, man.
Yeah.
And the process and the stuff to figure this stuff out, the Lord's dealing with him. Just like back then when he invented the so-called nuclear missile. It's out of this world technology, man. It's coming from somewhere.
How do you create that stuff? You know,
Like what made them think of an atom? What is an atom? You know what I mean? Like back then, it's like what made you think of messing with molecules and atoms and combustions and
like how do you have the technology to see an atom?
yeah. You know,
it's their math. They didn't have technology to see it. They just knew it existed by their so-called math. That big ass board and all this. It's really a math problem. Go to left-hand side.
A lot of that stuff, the Lord programmed them. Well, that's
But
like
the angels,
they exactly they write. You gotta be bugged out to write out a big ass formula like that, bro. Just writing it out. You know?
CERN. What type? Think of the mind that came up with CERN, a hydro particle accelerator collider.
These well, you have the CPU chips, but these new GPU chips. If you watch, just like the chips are huge. Like some of these chips are huge, but just one piece, 1 centimeter has like thousands upon thousands of different components. It's just like, how the hell did you know? It's the technology, the Lord built this man up.
They said that the angels put that in their minds, you know, because ain't no way a man could just come up with that on the fly.
Yeah, knowledge shall be increased.
Yeah,
That's where the word inspiration comes from.
Yeah.
Inspired. You got inspired. Inspired.
yeah. I'm gonna jump into verse 18. For the preaching of the cross to them that perish, for the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness. But unto us which are saved, it is the power of Yahweh.
Yeah, people say what we're doing is foolish. They don't got no army. They don't have no resources. Y'all waiting for somebody to come up and save you. You know? They think it's foolishness, man.
We waiting for a man to crack open the sky and laws. You know how they like to make mockery and scoff. But yes, we are waiting for not a man, but an angelic power, the Son of the Heavenly Father, to crack open the sky.
Isaiah 47, I will not meet thee as a man.
For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Have not Yahweh made the foolish the wisdom of this world?
Yeah, because like, who can really dispute what we're talking about? You know, we've been out here with the apostle, with the apostle of the great millstone, out here telling you exactly what this man was going to do. You know, we've been telling you what this man's been planning in his bedchambers.
He on the bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, brothers come out with a video. This is what they're playing. He's like, yo, it's just like, that's exactly, like, that's the spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You might be like, that's the spirit. That's how they know they got a short time.
Yeah. So when we was in the flesh, we was thinking about worldly things or how to get money or women or fame or become rich, famous, women, you know. That's pretty much the basic things that, you know, people in the flesh think of, you know. Verse 21. For after that, in the wisdom of Yahweh, the world by wisdom knew not Yahweh.
Because especially now, you go through this, you know, institutional, you know, college and stuff like that. Most of the people think they know everything, man. So by that wisdom, they know not the Most High, man. You know, learning theory, all this other stuff, man. Weirdo stuff in these schools, man. Learning to be a nurse. By that wisdom, it's converting you, man.
Yeah. And when someone's trying to sound wise, but you know, my degree, or you know, I used to work at, you know, well, when I worked at Google, you know, or when I studied this man, right? No one says, you know, what the scriptures taught me.
Right. It pleased Yahweh by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe.
That's how the world operates, man. You know, he uses some that would be considered weak, and uses it against you, man. You know, some that's insignificant. That's how the Lord is glorified, man. That's why he says he's going to be honored of the meek. You know, because we acknowledge his power, man. We don't need to, you know, test the waters and tempt the Lord. And he said, don't do this. And maybe we can try and see what happens. We shouldn't miss like the moon. Try to count the stars. Like, no, man, we just believe, man. You know?
Especially that we're small in numbers to the eyes, right?
Quantity over quality.
Yeah, it's quality over quantity, you know? So it's looking like, oh, good, it's not growing, you know?
Make sure
It's not growing, it's not getting any more, it must not be significant. But they're going to get Psalms 99, Psalms chapter 9, verse 19, and then Sirach 36 and 1. So 9 and 19? Yeah.
This is Psalms chapter 9, verse 19. Arise, O Lord, let not man prevail.
yeah, we're asking the Lord to arise because, looking at this man's technology and his plans, what can we really do? You got millionaires. They're going to be finished out here. People that can travel the world, do whatever they want in their leisure time. And when that day comes, they're going to be forced to bow the knee to the image of the beast. So we're asking the Lord to arise and to lift up a standard because this man is standing with his enchantments and his witchcraft. Fooling the people, which was you should. That's not smart. You can't block your license plate when you drive.
You get pulled over.
Because it's in your mouth.
So people are bugged. The average worker is bugged out. They're ready to get rid of you. They're ready to get rid of the average worker. They don't need you anymore. You're obsolete. Because a lot of people who are working these jobs who look down on us, these niggas who got these, they'll type in ChatGPT. What should I do to solve this problem? Or how should I tell my employee, I'm the manager, how should I tell the person under me, that they need to be more efficient at work? And they'll just ask, they don't have any thinking skills. So the Edomite is done with the average peon.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it goes into that culling, man. The Georgia Guidestone. Don't forget about that. He wants to massively depopulate the Earth's population, man. So he can get them people that so-called endured that new world order system, man, with that chip, man.
That's right.
Yeah, let the heathen be judged in thy sight. Put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. Salah.
That's right. Esau Edom has come to a point where he thinks he's a god. Well, he is a god. He's a power on earth. He's a supreme power, on earth. The prince of the air, that have nothing to do with Yahweh by Shema Shai. He's been given power, but he's only a man. And the Most High is going to show you what type of power we're going to be dealing with in the kingdom of heaven. You think we're going to have squabbles and rebellion? No, we're going to, Yahweh, there's a great, you're rebellion now. Esau Edom is rebellion now with his power, but the Most High is going to smash him. He's going to put the heathens in fear to know that they are but men. He's going to come down, because we know who the enemy is. The enemy, just real quick, can we get Revelations 12 and 17? Just to go to who the enemy is, right? The enemy are those with the truth. And then we'll get one more if we get that Sirach 36, to Romans 11.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 17, it says, and the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
The dragon, right? Esau Edom, right? That power structure he had during the Roman Empire has been Roman Empire. We in the South for real.
Empire.
It's been revitalized today. It is speaking in the earth. And that's what we're seeing, right? This draconian way of life is about to be in full scale. And they went to make war with the remnant of her seed. The remnant of her seed is the remnant of the nation of Israel. Starting with the men, right? Because we lifted the standard for our nation. The 144,000 men, the government body, we're here lifting up the standard to the rest of our people, telling them to get in order, to fear the Most High, right? Just the everlasting gospel. Fear Yahweh. That's the summary of our message. Fear Yahweh. Fear Yahweh by Shema Shai.
Fear is the beginning of wisdom.
That's right, brother.
You don't get no wisdom, knowledge, or understanding without fearing the Lord first.
So there's no need to be obedient to wisdom. If you don't think there's going to be a repercussion for not being obedient, right? But
and in the Apocrypha, it say wisdom itself tries men. So wisdom tries you before it enters into you. That's in the Apocrypha.
Yep, Wisdom of Solomon, Sirach.
Yeah.
Yeah, those chapters talk about that.
It try you out and test you first.
You got one.
It's Revelation 12, verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of the Most High and have the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. So just a specific people, a remnant, those that keep, the commandments, keep the ways of Yahweh Shai and have that testimony, which is what? The spirit of prophecy. The Lord ain't scared about you IUIC Israelites, man. I mean, forgive me. He's not scared about you IUIC Israelites, man.
No.
And the Lord not dealing with you IUIC Israelites, man.
Exactly. They ain't really worried. That's why great fear came upon them when they saw the men with the truth. Right? They know this is the opposition. Those who have faith in the Lord and who are obedient to his will.
In his name,
In his name, that's right. Have that seal in their foreheads, the name of Yahweh Shema Shai, the full understanding of the truth. Right? Because when you watch these other camps, you don't really hear about that. All these guys are still arguing about the Gentiles. They're on the level of a Christian, arguing about who the Gentiles are, who the kingdom of God is for. Yeah, the movie is at the end though. Like the scenes have already caught up. Like we already established that the foundation that's been laid. We talking about what's going to happen at the end of the movie.
We chapters ahead.
Yeah, we chapters ahead. That's how Jake is in the slow class. He had the slow class. They learning, what you learned freshman year, senior year.
Remedial.
Yeah, remedial. Where it'd be all the bad kids, that rebellious children don't want to listen. That's Jake.
And they can't take the test on their own. They got to get taken out and get help.
Yeah, their questions being read to them. Let's read the side.
This real side though. My brother was in one of them classes. Hey, he told me this story. He was like, the dude, it was like 7 of them with like 2 teachers.
Yeah.
They was doing a test. Dude, teacher said you got like 5 minutes left. The dude raised his hand and said, my pencil had been broken. He said, God damn it, your pencil had been broken all this time. You ain't say nothing? You got 5 minutes left in the test.
Yeah, right. So your pencil broke.
It's a cop out.
Should have said that as soon as it broke.
Exactly.
I didn't know that, they were going to implement a micro CF.
Right.
I'm sorry, I've been getting prepared for college.
Right.
A lot of people about to have a rude awakening. Thinking they about to try to succeed in this crumbling, wicked, sinful kingdom and society. Because we had the end of an era. All right, we had the end of an era, and the scripts say, people against people, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, uproars of the people, protests. What's uproars of the people? Protests, civil unrest, civil war. I mean, shit, we witnessing it with our eyes. What nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, people against people. Today's a nationwide No King's Day of Defiance protest.
I mean,
that's one example right there. Nationwide.
Exactly. The crazy thing is, bro, nobody was in the uproar when Biden was, man. Yeah, that shit was horrible for the economy. He was obviously, sold out to China, making deals, pushing more of a upfront globalist agenda.
Right.
Selling the oil reserves. Now everybody's upset because the price of oil going up. Come on, yo. It's been happening. But that tells you that we're at the end of how everyone is starting to react. But this is order out of chaos. Problem, action, solution. Read this on.
Romans chapter 11, verse 4. But what saith the answer?
Start 3. Yeah, let's start at 3. Okay. Yeah, start 3.
Lord, they have killed thy prophets and dig down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life.
And that's what Jake was doing. And that's what Jake did in the spirit. Jake is doing that now. We're already building, but you got Genesis, new niggas coming up on the scene talking about you guys are doing it wrong. The other apostle Horace, a senile old man, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But what are you talking about? You know, what are you guys talking about? What's so important about what you gotta say? Because everything through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai, that's why the scriptures talk about the apostles' doctrine, right? The teachings of Yahweh Shai. Who has the testimony of Yahweh Shai, which is the spirit of prophecy, right? You guys are saying what's not gonna happen, and we are saying that what is gonna happen, right? So it's going to be shown about who the testimony, who has the testimony. This shall be known who am I chosen. And they should be tried as gold in the fire. Because we understand who the enemy, Esau Edom, is really coming up against. You guys are going to be collateral damage. You know, look up that word, collateral damage. When there's a war and, it's happening over there in Iran now. Citizens getting deleted because a small population, I'm just talking about the narrative, right? But the narrative is a small population of the society is rebellion. Which, we're in a serious time right now. Read the scripture again.
Verse 3. Lord, they have killed thy prophets and dig down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life.
That's right, but in these days, a standard is going to be lifted. They're not going to be able to persecute the prophets on the scales they would in the past. Right. I mean, the word of the Lord is going to endure, right? The Lord is going to take his men off the streets and hide his prophets from the upcoming calamities. Because they had this AI-generated destruction. It was a simulation about what would happen if Iran actually got that power that they're trying to prevent them from getting. Right? You know, I'm trying to speak in code, right? Yeah. You should know what's going on if you're part of the elect. Right? The elect know what's going on. But they know the narrative of what's going on in Israel today.
He was commanded to watch. We're supposed to know.
Exactly. So look. There was an AI-generated video going into this is what happened if they got the power. It was a nuclear explosion, right? People recording it, and then you ask Grok because now the new thing is on X is you ask Grok, break this down for me. At the bottom of every post, someone was always asking, "At Grok, tell me explain this to me." Grok is telling you that this is more likely an explosion what happened in the recent events. You know? Showing you that if the AI ain't always going to tell you the truth. You know? You got to know what questions to ask. If people are asking questions about, is Jesus God? Oh, Jesus is God. It'll tell you based off the data, showing that's not a living organism. It has data that it feeds, that it's going to give you. But the Most High has his prophets out here lifting up a standard, telling you the truth of the matter. And our people, we have become our people's enemies. We've become public enemy number one for teaching the truth. And Elijah during his time was public enemy number one, right? And it's the same in these days, right? But a standard is going to be lifted.
Just like in the ancient world, when a prophet came to a city, they probably was like, "Oh man, here this dude go." We already know he ain't coming with good news. Next thing you know, behold, y'all about to go into captivity because y'all hard-headed. The good, we had to come tell them, because the people, y'all rebellious, and if y'all don't repent, y'all going into captivity. And the people, they didn't want to hear that. When the prophets came through, they already knew it was about to be doom and gloom, due to the fact of our people being rebellious. And not to get off subject, I seen somebody walk with a sign that said "No kings, fuck Trump," and it made me think about the script that says they should not regard their kings nor their princes. Because you want to get technical, Donald Trump is the king of Babylon, Mystery Babylon the Great. And people walking with these signs saying F the king. So we seeing with our own eyes of them not regarding their kings nor their princes.
That's right. Yeah,
Verse 4. But what saith the answer of Yahweh unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal.
That's right. So 7,000 men, 7 represent a complete, right? So a complete number of men have been reserved to not bow down the knee to the image of Baal, this image, this system, you know, that is being set up today. In Elijah, during his time, a spiritual power, right, was lifted, right? Spiritual standard was, he called fire down from heaven upon the soldiers that came and gathered them up, you know. And Elijah he already called fire down from heaven once, right? And worked, called upon the name of the Lord. That's why when he pulled up on the prophets of Baal, he said, well, we're going to call fire down from heaven. And he had because what we're going through now is going to give us the confidence during the time to take us trouble. That's why we go through our hell. You know, I forgot what movie it is, you know, I've been here before. You know, I know what this feeling feels like. You gave him the confidence to overcome. You know, oh, Neo, the Matrix. He's like, you've been down that road, you know. Yeah, that's where I was thinking about it. But anyways, a little off topic.
We being spiritually prepped and molded for the evil days to come.
Yeah, we're gonna be like Neo. I've been down that road. I know where this road ends. In victory, call upon Yahweh by Shema Shai.
Hey, example, us, the men in this truth, how we fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it might come a day you might not eat for a day or 2 or 3. I've been here before. I know what it feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what David said when he came up to Goliath. He said, I dealt with a bear and a lion.
Yeah,
That's some circumcised Philistine, right?
no.
That's facts. Go ahead, brother.
Even so, then at this present time, also there is a remnant according to the election of grace.
That's right. So we're under grace right now, according to the election, right? During this time of grace period that we've been given, there's an election that has been called out of this thing that wouldn't worship the image of the beast, right? Jump to that Revelation from the shop. No, that was the point of that. I know it's a little bit. I know it's possible. Yeah.
All right, this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him.
Yeah, and all, keep reading. That's the point. That's my point. That's verse 8, right?
Yep. Whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
That's right. So those who are written in the Lamb's book of life, that's not, preordained, predestined for salvation, as the victory is written here in the scriptures that men would overcome, right? Those who are not written to get the victory, they're going to worship the beast. They're going to take the M-A-R-K, right? So we're looking for a standard in our time to be lifted, just as it was during the time of Elijah. Especially during the time of Elijah, when you read that story, the angel came and fed them, the ravens fed them. So when it comes to eating, we need food for the body, but Yahweh Shai told us, man shall not live by bread alone. We got to live by the promises that are written here in this book to get the victory, to enter into true everlasting life. But you want to say something? Yeah, you get that Sirach 36 and 1 off the show.
Is Sirach 36, or Ecclesiasticus 36 and verse 1. Have mercy upon us, O Lord, power of all, and behold us.
That's right. We're asking the Lord to have mercy upon us. So we most definitely need mercy, right? You try to you're very conscious about what you eat, right? But you're still on the verge. You're teetering on whether or not you're gonna be sick or not. You can feel it in your throat. You can feel it. You just feel it in your body. You have headaches, right? You gotta be on this technology to work You know, your vision getting blurry from looking at screens all day. The eyes hurting, right? You might have a job. You know, it's just so many things in society that attacks you. You know,
Can't even eat healthy, because if you eat healthy, some of the stuff might be contaminated with salmonella or listeria.
Yeah, certain vegetables they got for added flavor. They got pork in that bitch.
Yeah,
You gotta
like-
read them labels, man.
yeah. Well, you know, I had a coworker just clean their produce, and you be seeing those viral videos of people cleaning their produce. She is like,
It's like a rainbow color on the
yeah, you think like can't be that bad? But then when someone actually spends the $50 on the bag to clean your food, you be like, damn, this came off my food.
Right.
You see that bug right there? I didn't see that. My eyes didn't see it. You be like, damn, it was worth that $50 to clean the produce. But then the water that's coming out the faucet,
It's dirty as shit.
yeah, it got it's recycled feces water.
micro
And then
microbacteria.
and then the hormones that women flush their pads down the toilet, well, that memory, water holds memory. So we're being attacked on every side here. That's what we need to get out of here. You know, you're like, well, why are we still here? We're here to live out prophecy. You know, to be a sacrifice. We are a living sacrifice here in these days.
Mobia.
This says, brother got an article. It says a Texas woman died from an infection caused by a brain-eating amoeba after using tap water in a nasal irritation device.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So she used her tap water, put it in the near, you know,
Nose.
because it was supposed to clean the mucus out. That's why, like, even when you got a humidifier, you gotta go buy distilled water.
Yeah, they say you're supposed to spring water or still.
Yeah, you can't just use it. If you do use your tap water, right, you'll see how corrosion. Well, boil some water. Boil some water in a pot. And what the hell? Why is there a ring on the outer side after I boil water?
It's your bathtub. If that ring that be getting around your shit.
Yeah, it's like, damn, I'm not that dirty.
It's the freaking
You know, it's the water is dirty. You know, we finished out here. Read it again, huh? Oh, shut.
Sirach.
Yeah, start at the top.
Yep. So Sirach 36, verse 1, have mercy upon us, O Lord, power of all, and behold us.
And the greatest, we crying out. We crying to the Lord to come. That's why brothers should be praying every day.
Yeah.
You know,
Say, pray without ceasing.
pray with that. You gotta have some type of routine because time flies by, right? So you get something you can do. When I get in the car, when I drive to work, I'm gonna pray. You know, because some brothers got families, they gotta get the kids ready for school. You know, as soon as you wake up in the morning, alarm go off, you won't go. Well, you gotta find time to pray during those quiet times, right? When you get off of work, I'm gonna pray. You know,
Are you at work?
I'm at work, I'm gonna pray, right? You gotta find in the streets, you gotta pray in your head. You know, you gotta send up those prayers for the Lord to come back and to give you the strength to overcome.
Shit, brother could be standing up here right now praying in his head.
Mm-hmm.
You won't know it, but you know.
Yeah. But go ahead, bro.
Yep. Sirach 36, Ecclesiastes 36, verse 2, and send thy fear upon all the nations that seek after thee.
Because it's a very proud. What they're trying to do is it's without fear. That's Psalm 64 and 3. You know, let me start at 1. All right, yeah.
Psalm 64. Hear my voice, O Yahweh. In my prayer, preserve my life from fear of the enemy.
That's right. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. Right. So we can't. The enemy that's causing. Brothers not afraid. What does there really be afraid of?
Right. We ain't afraid of death.
You know, we had a little simulation during C19. You know, brothers might have been new in the faith. Even brothers new in the faith, you shouldn't be afraid right now. Yeah, the Most High tells us in Timothy, the Most High is not giving us the spirit of fear. So if you are afraid, well, that's a demon, right? You gotta fight off that demon, right?
The Lord have not given up the spirit of fear, but the spirit of power and a sound mind.
That's right, bro. Come on, So I'm trying to think about it. Yes.
Lord gave us the spirit of power and a sound mind, peace.
Yeah, so these words have, this is our power right here. This is our power. Huh? Yeah, brother.
Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked.
Yeah, there's a saying in the world, a proverb in the world, words have power, and the more you believe in those words, the more power those words have over your life. So the more we believe in these scriptures, the more you see it. You see, how by Shemel Shai, you see the simulation that you're in. This is a fucking simulation that the Heavenly Father created for us to be in. Right? And you gotta acknowledge that. Everything is controlled. This person walking down the street, he didn't know he was gonna walk. The man's goings of the Lord. They're the non-playable characters. We the main characters in this movie. Right? Lord is willing, we continue to be those main characters.
From the signs, they just said Jacob.
From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity.
They have to know. Against the hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, against the insurrection
From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity.
from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. Because really you're only seeing Edomites out here. Because why? Because Edomites are the ones who truly believe in democracy.
Right.
You know, Jake
not gonna be out here.
Jake don't care, bro. You know where Jake is at right now? They're trying to get the bottle. They're trying to find what we doing tonight? How much fun are we having? You know, maybe I'll say women of our nation. You know, a woman, she might post a social media thread. If you do see a Jake out here as a woman that just, hey babe, let's go out there and at least hold up a sign. It's the right thing to do. You know, my family is my family is an immigrant. You know, and the whole signs for 30 minutes walk around. That was nice, and then go home. And these bricks being thrown, those are paid agents. You know, they ain't thinking about throwing. Jake is docile. Jake is like a dog chasing his tail. You know, like the Joker said, he wouldn't know what to do if he caught it. You know,
And if you want to get technical, they saying this is a nationwide day of defiance. The word defiance means open resistance and bold disobedience. This is a joke. This isn't really open resistance and bold disobedience. And Jake is in captivity. If anybody should be having open resistance or bold disobedience, it should be Jake.
yeah. If y'all really,
The fact that we in the conditions that we living in under these circumstances, we in the land of our we under our oppressors and in the land of our captivity. But it's not even Jake out here. What shows you Jake is in La La Land. Jake in La La Land and Jake not paying attention. And Jake don't really want resistance or disobedience. Jake wanna comply with Esau's system.
because if people really want to be defiant, well, you're even on the government.
It's a joke.
If you have the federal and then you have the state like legislation that passes laws, really your mayors have sold you out because in Texas.
Wait, Salaki. And no, I'm not promoting violence or anything in that nature. I'm just bringing out the meaning of defiance. But no, I'm not promoting anything, in that nature. Just for the record,
Yeah, so in Abilene, Texas, you have OpenAI building your data center. And the people, they did an interview, like, people don't even know why it's being built, how it's going to affect them in the future, showing you that this is really to distract you. If people really knew their plans and what they were really planning to do, in the world to come that they want to create, they would be talking about that. That would be the talk of the town. This is a distraction to keep you from the main plan. This is a psyop, operational. All modern warfare is based on deception. They'll tell you that. They don't really care, about people being. Why did the previous administration fly them in if they actually care? It's all a psyop, right? Let's bring them in, Trump is gonna be the guy in 4 years. We're gonna keep the wheels going. We're gonna start building. Because the whole time, these mega companies have been given more advanced in their technology. This is just to stall the game out. You know, they're just stalling right now. We got to end this thing. But read that book, Michelle.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, thanks. Oh, wait, what's it for? What, verse 4? Yeah, verse 4. Yeah, verse 4, Todd.
Psalms chapter 64, verse 4.
But,
No, I'm gonna start at verse 3.
okay, yeah. Come on, bro.
Who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words.
That's right. They're sharpening their tongue as a sword. DJ Trump is going on Truth Social. Because you have Truth Social, you have X, right? Those are the platforms that they post on. He's going on Truth Social and talking about how this is the problem, you know, and he's sharpening, he's using that to have people focus on it. Because now everything this man tweets about, people focusing on Trump and Elon fighting. Now there's memes all over the internet about it because people on social media are getting paid to get your attention. I forgot what's called impressions.
Yeah.
When you get impressions on your post, you get paid for that. So even though it's not important, they will do it. You know, it's not. Now it's everywhere. Now everybody's talking about it because it keeps you blinded from the main plan, what they really plan on doing, right? Which is to bring that micro C in. You know, it's trending. It's trending. It's old news. It's news to make it trend as a distraction. That's what I meant to say. You know, but who cares? Like, yo, like, I don't know anybody. You know, a few people are cool, a couple people. You know, and really the reason why people are coming to America is because Esau Edom. Well, you gotta ask yourself, why are they trying to leave? Why are they trying to come here? It's because Esau is gonna send his Minutemen and took over the system there. And it's only a matter of time before his will is done and his plan's in full effect.
Right. That they may shoot in secret at the perfect.
See, they're in secret, they're shooting at the perfect, the men of the Lord, the believers of Yahweh by Shema Shai. Well, you know, we gotta solve this problem here. In the problem, you know, during the whole C19,
Remember prophets of doom?
you mentioned the prophets of doom. He said there's people in the Middle East, and during the C19, what was it? Medical misinformation. You know, that was all to get censorship. You know, to get more, regulation, right? To get people used to fact checking. Now with the AI, it's coming out as a great thing. But really, it's going to be the problem. Man, you know, if you can't see it now, you know, the Most High ain't dealing with you.
Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They consume themselves in an evil matter.
Because how did so many people find out about these protests? WRAL, the local news, told you what time the meeting was going to be. At 4 a.m. At 4 a.m. At 4 p.m. we're going to be meeting at the Capitol building. It was broadcast on the local news. They told you where to go.
Right.
You know? I believe there was a movie called Alien vs. Predator. It was the third one where in the city, this was like, you know, a local town, the aliens got loose, right? And then you had the army, or they were sent in to try to fight the aliens. And they said, hey, everybody come to the center of the town. You know, there's going to be an evac. And what happened, you had some people believe, like, you had the main characters. Like, now, why would there be an evac in the middle of the town? That's where all the aliens are going to be. You know, then you had another group say, we got to leave. And what, they ended up dropping a bomb in the middle of the town in the movie. Right? So it's showing you following the instructions You know, in plenty of movies show you.
It,
They tell you about everywhere.
in the movies about like apocalypse movies or dystopian futures movies, they show you the people that go to those camps. They go to those camps or those refugee sites or etc. Them be the main places where it's chaos and death.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You're supposed to go the opposite way where everybody else is going. You're supposed to go the opposite way.
Yeah, it was There's just so many shows. They tell you go to the stadium. That's where the safety is. But outside the stadium, it was crazy. It was bugged out. I'm watching the show. They said there's zombies. Like it was a zombie show. It was World War. It was like
World War Z.
Not World War Z, but there's
It's a Black Summer.
Black Summer, the zombie movie on Netflix. It was bugged out because
That shit was crazy too.
yeah, it was bugged. They were fighting, but there were no zombies. The whole time there was a hint that the horde of zombies were coming, but they never came. But people were fighting each other. It was so bugged out. They were saying, "Go to the stadium, go to the stadium," but they never showed the zombies. Everybody was just fighting each other to get to the stadium. Like
Robbing each other, gunning each other down.
you're my potential. They never showed the zombies. Of course they did in certain parts of the show, but it was just like
It was mainly people getting chased and ran down
by other people. But the zombies are the threat. Yo, this shit crazy, yo. When they roll this thing out, people they gonna lose it.
Yeah, people gonna be the worst thing. People gonna be away from people in that time. Because people gonna be cutthroat and they gonna want what you have, and they gonna put their families before yours.
That's right. British shall fight one against another like enemies, with swords in their hands.
They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily.
Yeah, they're encouraging themselves. We gotta keep going. You know, we gotta keep going. We gotta keep going. They're encouraging themselves. They're emboldening themselves in this evil matter that they're planning. They're getting bolder and bolder with it. You know, some people, a small fraction of people know the plan. We don't care if you know the plan or not. We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna make sure that your videos are, the algorithm, because, bro, only a small fraction. Like, if a video is trending, you might see, what's popping up on your social media. All that is controlled. When's the last time you seen a video about what's going on in Ukraine right now?
Right.
Just randomly, you gotta search. You gotta do the research. You just doom scrolling. Nothing on Ukraine is popping up. Like you hear about the rumors of war, but you don't see people posting in Ukraine about this is what's going on. That's why when they want you to know about something, they're gonna put it on Front Street. They're gonna put it everywhere. Everything is controlled.
They say, who shall see them? Talking about these traps. Who shall see them? They set up these traps and snares privily, and they say, who shall see them? But the elect, Lord willing, we are the elect. In the men of the Lord, we see the traps, we see the snares, because we were told to not be ignorant of Satan's devices. And Satan means adversary, and we know who our adversary is. You got to know who your enemy is first before anything.
That's right. They're laying right now. No Kings protest. This is a snare being laid. Because look, these CEOs, Elon. He's hated. That was a little test to see how far he can get. Of course, Trump's still running things, right? But you can't really trust anything. So many psyops are going out that when the truth is sprinkled in, you gotta question it. Right? That's why we really just gotta stick to prophecy. We gotta stick to the scriptures. We know this ain't the end. By and by, you hear wars and rumors of wars. By and by, the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. They shall deliver you to the council. A lot more gotta happen. the micro CF. Can't forget about that.
And even now when you scrolling, sometimes now you gotta question it. Now you gotta question if a video real or not. Now you gotta really look and pay attention to the details, because some videos be looking real, but it really be AI. So now people go pretty much have to question their judgment.
Oh, like the whole prompt theory. But now you have people, because they're, like I said, they get paid because of impressions, right? You got average citizens going inside grocery stores or going inside a convenience store recording. They got the GoPro on. Their social media, right? Their social media influencers to keep the people influenced and distracted about what the plans of the elites are. So have you heard about prompt theory? He's asking a random guy. No, I don't. But that's actually a real video. It's a real skit. You know, it's actual people making that skit. You know? So you gotta have to question everything. So now, when something happens in a major city, right, you can have a media blackout. That city can go black, but now you're getting false information being fed to you about what's going on there. We're live on air. You know, we're showing you what's going on.
They put that in movies too. They say the media is lying. This is what's really happening here.
Yeah, bro. You're just gonna have to have the name to be out by Shimon Shai at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep.
That's right. Like, this is a diligent search of how this technology has, how to master it, how to really. It is a diligent search, all to get control of the people. Like, man, the heart of the Edomite is deep. You know, it's full of snares and traps. All the people, they have these think tanks thinking 30 years in the future. Now, the reason why they really want to get quantum computing, and they already have it, but it's not used for the people, because they're talking about quantum computer that the average person can use. They have quantum computing, you know, a certain level of it.
You can't use it,
But we can't use it. But you know what they're doing with it? They're playing out scenarios. You know, all right, let's put this scenario. What will happen if this? You know, because when you watch Resident Evil, right? When you follow that movie, I don't know which one it is, but eventually, you know, when they're going, because the elite in the movie, the elites are already disappeared. You know, they're trying to find the elites. They're trying to stop the main elites, but they can never find them because at the end they were already in their bunkers chilling.
Right.
Right?
Protect trans kids on the back of their parents.
It's a bug out.
That's crazy.
You know, but in the show, right, while they're trying to find out who to stop the Umbrella Corporation, they were like, what? There's a simulation of what would happen in China, in Russia. Right, there was in India. There were simulations of an outbreak. So, exactly. So that's what they're doing now. They're simulate. They have they have that technology, and that's what they're using to better their odds, right? Of forwarding their NWO, and the Most High is gonna let them go through it, but the standard is gonna be lifted for the elect sake. Any more on that, brother?
But Yahweh shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves.
That's right. So the Most High is throwing is putting the snare. The snare is the prophets. The prophets have been risen up. The Most High lay a snare for thee, O Babylon, O hammer of the earth, and the light of the wicked is being put out. Right? You know, so Yahweh Shema was shy. Yeah, I almost saying Jake is a celebrity fame. They fame. They're not talking about. But their own tongue is falling upon them. You know? But yeah, Isaiah 47. We'll go down this.
So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, all that see them shall flee away, and all men shall fear, and shall declare the work of Yahweh, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord, and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory.
That's right. So the wise, those that fear the Lord, we're putting our trust in Yahweh Shema Shai, and we're glad. You know, man, the Most High is going to cause us to rejoice in the days that we're coming into. The Most High is going to, we going through it now, but we good. We not bugging out like these people. These people don't know what to do. That's why they're out here. But you know what's crazy? As sheep to the slaughter, the elites have told them what to do. Go out there and protest. Have a no kings protest. That's what you should do. By the men of the Lord, we're calling upon the names of Yahweh Shema Shai as the Lord commanded us to do. So with that, it's been a beautiful weekend, preaching the kingdom of Yahweh Shema Shai and prophesying the downfall of Babylon the Great. All right, so before we go close up, we're going to go all praise, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father and his only begotten Son. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone for teaching us the work of the truth according to the Bible and rule well. And peace and blessings to the nation of Israel. Next time we say, Shalom.
So now